I'm gonna embarrass myself. Everyone thinks I'm stupid. I look weird.
I'm too quiet.
I talk a lot. They're laughing at me. They're judging me. They're friends with me just because they pity me. Everybody's looking at me. If any of these thoughts sound familiar, please keep watching this video.
Hi everyone, my name is Natalie and welcome to my channel. Here we like to dive into the issues of our society, modern life, psychology, a tiny bit of philosophy, and much more. So if you're curious about this world and other human beings, please subscribe and leave it a little like down below. I'd appreciate that a lot. So today I want to talk about something that's very personal because it's something that I've been struggling myself for a while, for most of my life. First, I really want to quickly share my own personal story, the feelings that I've been having throughout my life, and I want to share some meaningful insights and tips that have helped me a lot to overcome my social anxiety. Some of you guys may be like, oh, what, you're on YouTube and you're also act, so how can you have social anxiety? Well, listen, that's why I'm here. Social anxiety or social phobia is a type of anxiety disorder characterized by excessive fear or anxiety in one or multiple social situations. These can range from just simple conversations and eating in public to performing and speaking in front of people, and sometimes even just going outside. While it's completely normal to feel nervous or slightly anxious in some situations, like again performing in front of a lot of people, social anxiety is different. And actually I heard this from a therapist who said that there's a fine line between what's normal and what's not normal, and if this anxiety feels like it's stopping you from living a normal life, it actually makes you cancel things, it actually makes you not go out, not go there, then it's anxiety and it's a problem. It's more than just feeling a little bit nervous like before performing or going out with people you don't know. This is really about a very overwhelming fear that leads to avoiding those social situations altogether, which negatively impact your life. It's actually a surprisingly common issue. Studies suggest that up to 90% of people have felt something similar at some point of their lives. However, it's crucial to note that I am not a medical professional, I'm not a therapist, and all this is my personal experience and some research. One key difference between social anxiety and just being shy is the intensity and the effects it has on you. Shyness is really a personality trait, a very, very normal one, while social anxiety involves avoidance behaviors and obsessive thoughts that severely impact one's quality of life. You might avoid a party not because you are just feeling shy, but because you have this constant huge fear of being judged, of embarrassing yourself that feels unbearable, so that's why you choose to cancel and not go. And that leads to a lot of other problems because you fail to socialize and it's kind of a snowball situation. Moving on to my personal story. My spectrum of fears and obsessive thoughts. The very number one is fear of messing up or saying something wrong. Fear of negative judgment from others. What will people say, think about me? What if I embarrass myself? I'm gonna dive deeper just in a second. This constant feeling that people are really watching me, that would make me feel like I would want to hide. Even though I'm a very expressive person, I often tend to minimize myself just because I don't want to have this feeling of constantly being watched and put on the pedestal, even though it's not happening. It's my head. Fear of eating in front of others, fear of speaking in front of class or anyone really, which is funny because I'm an actor. Yeah, and a lot more. So I spent a lot of time analyzing where those fears, those thoughts come from, and I think this is one of the things that one of your homework, guys, that you will have to do eventually. This is pretty much what we do in therapy, you know, just try to understand where did you get those ideas that people might judge you, that people might want to hurt you or think that you are embarrassing, etc., etc. But I was pretty shy as a kid, as I thought. Then I've actually realized that it was more an effect after being put in those very uncomfortable situations. When I was little, when I was like 7 years old, I changed schools, and I think that was the very first time I've actually experienced feeling social anxiety, is because I was very much at my place at the school where I went to in the first grade. I had some friends, I had a group of people, and I can't say that I was necessarily shy. Well, I don't remember being shy or feeling anxious. However, I do remember when I changed schools and I found myself around so many different new people, and everybody kind of knew each other because they've already spent 1 year studying together and I was just new. This was already a challenge, and I remember reading some notes from my teacher at the time, and she said I was shy, but I still managed to find some friends. I have already started feeling a little bit anxious, but it was still pretty mild. And then when I was, I don't know, around 11 or so, I had a few friends in my school, in my class, and at some point this friend that I had just decided that she does not want to be friends anymore with me. And I know it sounds kind of silly, but I think that was a big thing for me at the time, because it was the first time I've experienced betrayal, if you can say so, by a close friend, especially in a little group of people like a school class. She was mean towards me. She would leave me some notes, like mocking me, making fun of me with her other friends. So she just decided that I wasn't cool enough anymore. Kids, that's kind of a part of experience. Because I was still trying to figure out something, I tried to making myself appear cooler, and I had to analyze everything I was doing because I wanted to be liked by this group of people, by those friends that I had that decided that I wasn't cool enough. Anyway, so that was the really first time I've experienced a lot of anxiety, and because I was mocked in my class, I started feeling really anxious when going to school. And this really started that I was like 5th grade, and then the same thing happened with another friend 1 or 2 years later. It was building up, and at some point I remember I would feel so anxious, and it was really like 7th grade, so I was still very young, still a kid. I would feel so anxious before going out to school in the morning that I would literally feel this pain in my chest, and I would come to my mom and beg her so I can stay at home and not go there, just because I did not want to be in those social situations where I would have to talk to people and I have to think and feel like I'm being judged or analyzed. My self-esteem was below 0. It was not present. It was gone. I was improving at some points, but this constant anxiety when I was at school, it was still there. No matter what I did, I was still kind of traumatized by all these situations. I wanted to be more in my world. I wanted to paint, to write stories. I never complained if I stayed alone for a while. I really liked doing this, so I thought it was kind of a part of my personality. And at the time when I was little, it was back in Ukraine, nobody ever talked about social anxiety around me. I didn't even know what anxiety was. It wasn't a thing, we didn't go to therapy. It was for crazy people. I'm sorry, I'm pretty sure this has changed drastically, but it was my experience. At the time there was no therapy possible. It was only for crazy kids, and I wasn't crazy. I was just struggling socially. At the time, my self-esteem was so low, it was basically non-existent. So every time I would think that somebody would even be interested in me, it was not even possible. The thought of boys or girls, anyone interested in me as a person was a nonsense. That's why I decided to stay home more. I skipped so many classes, so many days of school you cannot even imagine. Every time I could skip, I would skip. That was me before, but outside of school I did not experience that much of social anxiety because I had my friends. Even communicating and socializing wasn't that bad. I was still very uncomfortable with social situations, but when I was around my few friends, I felt actually very great. When I turned 15, we moved to to France with my mom, and I did not know the language so well, and I was literally put up at school almost right away. It's not like I did not know anything about French, but it was still a completely new environment for me with new culture, new people, new language, and I realized that I did not know the French that I learned during my classes. It was very different to what's actually spoken by my peers in middle school. That was a big challenge because it was a very stressful situation for me, and it was the time where all of my mental issues, also I was a teenager, 15 years old, it's a very rough time. I started struggling with even more anxiety. At first I was so motivated and inspired that I did not even feel anything. I was socializing with other people, but it was only for a short period of time that everything was back. I started feeling very uncomfortable around people eating, and I didn't want to be seen eating with other people. I just couldn't eat in public. I was analyzing the way I eat, and it was so disgusting, and I just couldn't do this anymore. So I started avoiding my friends that I've acquired who let me into their group because they were so kind and lovely. I couldn't understand this. So I started avoiding those situations. I started going to eat my lunch alone, and the way I would do this was crazy because I would literally wait for them to go, and then I would go to this little cafe to the second floor, eat something sweet because the cafe was still out of my budget, take like a mousse au chocolat, which is like a chocolate mousse, and eat this in a very dark room alone because I felt like I needed this time to recover from the stress of being around so many people. I would feel very, very anxious because people would sometimes point out when I would say something wrong in French. I just felt like I was being watched constantly, and I was because I had long blonde hair, and in my school in the south of France didn't have a lot of people who had long hair, and most importantly we didn't have a lot of foreigners in my school. So I think we were like 15 tops or even less foreigners at the whole school of like thousands of people. So everybody knew these people, those like immigrants. I was never mocked or laughed at by my peers ever in my French school. Everybody was extremely friendly and lovely to me, and I appreciate that. That I can't say about some teachers because some teacher actually made fun of me, and I had my peers who would actually defend me in front of the teachers because they would say something terrible. I was doing bad at school when I first moved because, back in my country, I was actually starting to feel better about myself and about my grades. I was actually more interested and involved in school, like in studies. But when I moved to France, all that was gone because I didn't understand the language to the needed extent. Like some moments were so embarrassing because I didn't even know how the tests were called. That happened to me that I didn't even understand that we were having a test. All these embarrassing moments only fueled my anxiety. But in French school, you can't skip classes like I could in my Ukrainian school. So I couldn't skip classes, I just had to go through it. At some point in a year or so, I started doing a lot better. I learned the language. I was doing very good at school, but the social anxiety seed was deep inside me and it was not going anywhere. And I still had very low self-esteem. I still felt like I was being watched. I still avoided all social situations that I could, with a few mild exceptions. I almost did not even had a personal life outside of school because school for me was so stressful and so exhausting because of my anxiety that I didn't even want to talk to these lovely people outside of school because, I would still have this social anxiety, thoughts of me over analyzing everything I say, everything I do, that I didn't want to hang out with anybody. This period triggered all those fears and anxieties that I've had because I've actually faced those situations of standing out in front of a group of people, of being different to this group of people, of being watched. In my high school, a French one, the entrance was so funny because we had like those benches that were like this, like two sides of benches, so people would be sitting there and you have to walk in the middle. And every time I felt like it was a defile, catwalk by me, and I just felt like I was being watched all the time. And even style of my clothes was different. You get the idea. Please share your experience down below. I would really love to read, and I would answer you all, guys. This was my experience. These were my thoughts that I had. After high school and my university, I did not feel all that because I think I was actually depressed. So maybe I did not even pay attention to the anxiety. I just went along with this, and it was a completely different situation. And also because in university, I feel like I just did not care about what people would think about me. But then when the uni was over, it was yet again here. I still had a lot of social anxiety. I still sometimes even struggled to go grocery shopping because I would feel like people would analyze what I'm doing, and I don't know. Here's my little backstory. I want to move on to the things that actually helped me a lot. Again, I'm not a therapist, but I think the advices, the tips that I'm about to give you cannot hurt anyone. But I would still suggest, if you can, please go to therapy or talk to someone who can actually give you some professional opinion or help. We all are very different and we experience things differently. Those things helped me, they might not help you. Tip number 1, challenge negative thoughts. This is something from cognitive behavioral therapy that you would really do if you would be in therapy. You would be challenging all those negative thoughts that you have and try to break and reframe those negative patterns that you have. You can ask yourself, well, what evidence do I have about this fear that I have? Is it true? What's the worst thing that can happen? This is something I do all the time because I still have those intrusive, obsessive thoughts sometimes. They're less present, and most importantly, they do not define me as a person anymore. I do not listen to them. This is a well-known fact that cognitive behavioral therapy can help reducing social anxiety. I want to share this funny exercise that you can do at home. Imagine your inner critic, all your negative thoughts about yourself, all those obsessive things like, oh, you're gonna embarrass yourself, you're gonna fail, you're gonna look stupid or whatsoever, whatever you have, all these thoughts, put all these thoughts into a separate person. Just imagine anyone, just a random person, and that is your friend, your toxic friend. Imagine you're sitting with this friend in a cafe. All of a sudden, this friend starts telling you all those horrible things. Like, oh, I think you look stupid. You're embarrassing yourself. Why are you eating so loudly? Why do you look so bad today? Why? I don't know, it could be anything. Would you be comfortable in a situation? No. Would you like to continue listening to this person? No. You would probably just want to never ever be friends with this person and just block them, right? So this is the thing that I do. I just imagine this inner critic and I zone out from this. I just ignore their presence. Sometimes before doing something very social, I would have those thoughts. I would think, oh no, I want to cancel. Oh no, I want to cancel. Why do I want to cancel? Well, because I don't feel good about myself. Because I don't know, because I feel like I'm gonna embarrass myself because they're so cool and I'm not cool, and because I don't speak that language so well. I would have those thoughts and I would be like, this is so ridiculous. This is not me. This is somebody else's stupid thoughts. I do not think that I'm embarrassing or bad. I don't know something. It's fine. We're allowed to not know everything. Most likely people are not even going to judge me. And even if they do, then okay, let them judge you. Whatever. Most people are too focused on their self to analyze your every move. Even if you do embarrass yourself, that's the worst thing that can happen. The only one who's gonna be so focused about this situation is you. The only one who's gonna remember this for your whole life is you. It's not those people around you. Because we all care about ourselves much more all the time. We have to live with ourselves, you know? We don't remember others' failures that much as we remember our own failures. And those thoughts really help me. Improve your self-esteem and be your own best friend. Low self-esteem of often accompanies social anxiety. You can start practicing self-compassion and focusing on your own strength. According to the study published in Self and Identity, improving self-compassion can reduce signs of social anxiety. I just really hope that you find this video useful, or at least you find it comforting to know that you're not the only one who's feeling this. I've read a lot of studies about gratitude, and people actually say that it's something that's really, really helpful. If you do it on a daily basis, you would start feeling much better about yourself, and it's something that I can't say that I do every day, but I try to do more often. It's just to remind myself what I've accomplished so far and remind myself that I'm grateful to be who I am and that I love myself. And I know it's a journey. It's not gonna be easy either to just say, yeah, I love myself. But at the same time, it's my brain that makes me feel so anxious all the time, and it's torturing me. The self-love journey is gotta be harsh, but I think the only thing that you can really do to feel better about yourself is try to radically accept who you are and try to discover yourself. You will discover a lot of interesting things about your personality. You have to accept yourself. There's nothing you can do. You're born this way. I hope you still have people who are close to you, I don't know, your family or some friends. Try to actually listen to what they say about you. And I know it's hard because we actually, I think, take this a little bit in a selfish way, you know, the way us socially anxious people think so much about ourselves. I just think all the time about myself. It's very selfish. If you actually take time to listen to what people who are close to you say about you, you'll discover so many great things. But I feel when you're feeling anxious, it's hard to really listen to them, because actually nobody is forcing your friends to say nice things about you. But I'm not judging though. I'm the same. Focusing on your strengths is very helpful. Practice relaxation techniques. Social anxiety can often trigger some physical symptoms like racing heart or sweaty palms. Techniques like deep breathing, mindfulness, or progressive muscle relaxation, and even sports can really help. A meta-analysis in Clinical Psychology Review supports mindfulness-based interventions for reducing social anxiety. There's a lot of apps like Calm, Headspace that can guide you through meditation, or you can find a lot of stuff that's free on YouTube. For me personally, I find breathing the most helpful technique ever, especially when I'm in a situation where I suddenly feel anxious, you know, like before going on stage or before talking or making a call, I don't know. You don't ever know where you're gonna feel anxious. I tried a few breathing techniques. This you can really look it up and try them all or at least try a few to see what's best for you. I would take a big breath and then hold it, and then take an even more longer breathe out. Can you say this way? I hope so. This really helps in the moment to feel less anxious, and you kind of feel it even in your head physically. You feel like really your mind calms. This is the thing you cannot skip. Whatever you do, whatever you're feeling, you will have to do it. Face your fears, but gradually. Exposure therapy. Studies show that exposure therapy, a technique where you slowly confront your fears, can be highly effective for social anxiety. For example, there was a study published in the Journal of Anxiety Disorders that found that gradual exposure to fear social situations reduce anxiety over time. This is something that's really helped me. But you have to be very careful with this one, because you cannot just go and throw yourself in a social situation and expect that it's gonna somehow make you feel better, or you're just gonna shake it off and feel fine. Because you have to be ready for this. In my experience, it was really, really helpful because I joined an acting class back in 2019. But at the time, even though I did some acting in school, I just still felt super anxious, because this is a place where you do a lot of uncomfortable things. If you're a socially awkward person like me, you have to work with people, you have to be very close to people, you have to show all of your vulnerabilities, and you have to not feel like you're being judged completely, because it's gonna ruin your performance. And acting class is also a very safe space. So if you want to study acting in university, maybe it's different. But an acting class where you pay for a coach, most of the time is going to be quite comfortable and safe, and everybody around you will feel exactly the same. Even if they don't have social anxiety, everybody feels uncomfortable to be performing in front of a lot of people. Well, okay, 90% of people. Most of people that I know in all of the classes that I've joined would share that they felt anxious before stepping on stage, which is normal. So you feel like you're surrounded by a lot of people who like what you do and they're feeling the same thing. I'm so glad that I found acting, and I love the vibe of the acting class. And even though I made this my career, which is a different thing, it's not a very safe place. This was really scary for me though in the beginning, and I would suggest you really start small. Like, try going out and ordering some coffee, or go to a cafe or a restaurant completely alone. Try going out more alone. I know it's scary, but you have to do it. And when you go out, try talking to people, like barista, anyone. You can make a quick call. I was so terrified of calling by phone. I would literally shake and sweat over my poor phone, and the only thing that helped me to overcome this fear is just because I had to call a lot to find an apartment, and I'm not afraid of calling anymore. So yeah, exposure therapy is really number one thing that's gonna help you. Number 5 would be seek professional therapy. I know therapy is not accessible for everybody. I was just like you for many years, until I was able to gain some extra money and actually go and find myself a good therapist that I could talk to. There's a lot of different stuff, and it's personal to each person. It's gonna be very different, because we all are different. We all have different traumas and backgrounds, and some cases will be easier, some cases will be more difficult. In my therapy, I don't actually focus a lot on social anxiety. We did a few interesting things that I may mention in some of my other videos. I still sometimes think and fear that I'm gonna embarrass myself, or I'm gonna say something wrong. Those thoughts like, oh, maybe I have to cancel this event. If I can cancel, what would I say? I would say I'm sick, or I would say I have this problem. And when my mind goes really fast into creating those excuses, I would over-explain myself in my head, try to find some kind of different explanations, and all those things will be running through my mind just before a social event. What I found, actually, that's why I mentioned exposure, is because I don't listen to those negative thoughts. I just go and expose myself to what I'm afraid of. When I'm facing those fears, I don't feel anxious. All this anxiety is really building up just before the social situation, and during the social situations, in 99% of the time, I feel amazing to be around people, because I love people and I will love socializing. Don't mind being watched or whatsoever. I don't know, maybe that's just me, because I'm still on my way. I feel like I've done a lot of work to be where I am now. I force myself into going even if I don't want to, because I know that this is not me saying I don't want to be there. It's my anxiety. I know I don't let them speak. Maybe you're not going to ever get rid of your anxiety for forever, and you're never ever gonna have a negative thought in your life. Maybe it's not possible. You will be like a mountain, you know. Whenever the wind blows, you'll still feel the wind, but you're not gonna move. And you're gonna be more confident about yourself. And this is where we strive to. I really hope that this video was at least a little helpful, and please let me know if you would like to have more videos like this, or maybe you would like to talk about something else. Social anxiety can feel really isolating. It's both common and and treatable. You can regain control over your life, whether it's through exposure or challenging your thoughts or seeking professional help. Progress is really possible, and trust me, this does not have to ruin your life. This does not have to define you. This is not you. This is anxiety. It's different. Because the thing with any kind of anxiety, especially social anxiety, it's gonna make you feel like it's a part of you, and it is, and you have to accept it. But this part is no bigger than your character, than your personality. Remember, overcoming social anxiety is not a race, it's a journey. Yeah, this is a little personal video like this for me. I just hope you find it at least comfortable and interesting. Please, please, please share your stories down below. I would love to read them, and I will answer you all. And you can also subscribe to my Instagram, because I post a lot of interesting stuff there and show a lot of my backstage and some videos and stuff. Please subscribe to my YouTube. I would appreciate that, and if you leave a little like, I would also appreciate that a lot. Thank you. Again, my name is Natalie. It was really nice to see you, and we'll see each other very soon. Bye bye.